Last album review of the week, we have Phoenix's Alpha Zulu, 10 songs, 35 minutes long, 25 seconds long, just making it over the hump for what we would naturally consider between a drop and an album, but certainly
This is like the line for an album. This is the
just
fucking
over the hurdle, like photo finish for sure. But Phoenix, they have earned themselves a little bit of leeway, having been a storied band releasing their first full long play in the year 2000. Really blowing up with Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix in 2009, to say nothing of their projects from between then, from Alphabetical to It's Never Been Like That.
So good.
But through the 2010s, while I think they've been a little bit more subtle, they've definitely had a prominence throughout. Sean has definitely liked them through their projects like Bankrupt in 2013, 2017's Te Amo, which we reviewed on the first year of Audioface.
Yep, and which is why we have our singles rule for only reviewing one single before a record is because of Phoenix.
It's the Phoenix Gorillas singles rule, technically, because of listening to Te Amo and Goodbye Solele, which is, one of the Goodbye Solele. I love that riff, the do 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 thing.
So
but
good.
We're Phoenix fans. It's kind of amazing we didn't do a Phoenix bonus / we've given you enough bonuses.
We have time. I would love to do a retrospective of Phoenix one day, because I've listened to them pretty much my whole life.
Yeah, more on that maybe next year, because I haven't listened to a lot of Phoenix's background, and so I would love to do that. But with this one, we only listened to the title track, the first song, as the single, and we both had kind of mixed feelings about it. I think you had more mixed feelings than I did. I like that it signaled a little bit of a different shift, especially from Te Amo, which was a slower kind of I weird kind of phrasing, but like juicy sort of like indie sound for them. That's a little bit more synthy and wubby in a way. This, I think, is a good contender for, I'm not sure what award yet on the Audioface Awards, except for this, but Return to Form. Because everything after Alpha Zulu, maybe more or less not the Ezra Koenig thing, are Phoenix at their best, but not just at their best, but what we look for on Audioface many times, which is forward. Like, this sounds like
100%.
New Phoenix. This doesn't sound too much like untreaded ground, and yet it still sounds like a Phoenix record, which is a really tough line to cross.
Exactly. It's that it impressed me a lot. Like, I heard Tonight featuring Ezra Koenig, where on FIFA and a couple other things, just on radio play and everything. I was like, okay, that sounds like a tried and true Phoenix track, and I'm actually glad it's in the record, just because it's kind of like paying homage to like their older sound. I really like the banter between the two vocalists, where it suits the style of the song and everything really well, and it's a good placement after Alpha Zulu, because after Alpha Zulu is very much a different sound from Phoenix. I'm still not too big a fan of the track.
It's very
but
poppy.
Within the context,
it's very
it's not my cup of tea, but in the
it
context of the record,
almost reminds me of Glass Animals too much, and all the ways I don't like Glass Animals. And I like a lot of Glass Animals, but like there's some parts of Glass Animals that are a little bit too bubbly and a little bit too annoying, especially some of the more recent stuff. It just doesn't rub me the right way. And there's some aspects where Thomas Mars and the instrumentation kind of meet that sound that I don't like. But I think most of that part that I'm a little bit iffy on is concentrated to the beginning of the record, and I do mean like the first two songs.
Yeah, and
a little bit later,
I think
but most of the first two songs.
For the most of the project, it's definitely, I wouldn't even say return to form, because they've always been on form. I would say it's the Radiohead progression, where it's, artists who have been making music for over 20 years, they've been together as a band since the 90s. And to see them progress and to always take their time with records, because, Te Amo was in 2017, so that's 5 years ago. 5.5 years ago, so I think it was summer or spring of 2017 when it came out. So it's been a long time since releases, and they've only released one thing for a film a couple of years ago. And to see them take their time, make a project that works within 2022, still be on the pulse of music, make 10 songs, 35 minutes long. Normally their projects are longer, but they get the sense of how the industry is and everything. They're still good enough to do that.
Much like
And
the
then
Arctic Monkeys, they've usually created
exactly.
very short albums around that 35-40 minute track. You're right.
Yeah, and but with like going into the music of this, I really enjoy it a lot. I feel like they get their two weakest tracks out of the way with Alpha Zulu and Tonight, even though I like Tonight.
And yet also
But
like
like
weakest, but also crowd pleasers, which is tend to be what you do in
hundred
the
percent,
beginning of a
yeah,
record in any genre.
yeah, 100%. But then after that, you get the third song, which is the only one, and I go, nice. This is just enough of old Phoenix, but now changing their sound enough to really push them forward. I'm like, oh, nice. Now I want to get this more of the record, and you get it throughout, like basically from three, all from the only one all the way down to Identical. You get this updated Phoenix sound, is what I would say, and it's really nice to hear for the indie genre, the alternative rock genre, like genres that I'm very passionate about and I'm very critical of too. To hear them really push their boundary forward as a group, but to still stay within what sounds like a Phoenix record. Because you can hear that's, you know, unapologetically Phoenix, but it's not dated. It doesn't sound like it's something that we would hear in 2010 or 2009 or so on and so forth. It sounds like something that works in this decade and even this year within that too. After Midnight, Winter Solstice are tracks that I really like, especially Winter Solstice. I love the pacing of that track, the way it kind of builds and has a solid beat within that. Is a perfect placement in the middle of the record too. But I want to get more of your thoughts onto it as well.
Yeah. When I made that caveat earlier, that was like mostly a lot of the bubbly, weird poppiness that I didn't like from Phoenix. That's more of that Ezra Koenig, Vampire Weekend stuff. Which again, don't come after me, motherfuckers. I'm totally fine with Vampire Weekend. I saw them.
Yeah, I like Vampire Weekend a lot.
I flew to goddamn Europe to see them, among many other artists too. But like, so I like them very much. But I think this sort of bubbly, newer Phoenix sometimes it can get a little bit too poppy to a point where I don't like, and you almost get a little bit of that in Winter Solstice. Although I think that's a perfectly fine song. But again, goddamn, there's like fucking donk albums here. I think from season 2 down, you get. This is why I say it's a return to
Okay.
form thing because I hear so much of old Phoenix down to like Wolfgang Amadeus sounds, but updated and refreshed in a way that's done really respectfully. I talked about how the 1975 started updating a lot of their other sounds in the new record. This is a zillion times better than even that kind of transformation, I would say. Because I don't have the exact like comparisons on me right now for sake of time, but I really liked All Eyes on Me. I feel like it was the perfect combination
Good
of
track.
them doing a newer sound, but also them doing an homage to their older work as well, and really quite updating it. And so, yeah, really through the rest, like you said, My Elixir, Identical, they're all different sounds and different vibes, but they fit together in the course of an album and they sound really nice. And they don't make me feel like, oh, this sounds like old Phoenix too much, nor do they make me feel like, oh, this sounds like way like a different band. Like this isn't the band I used to like anymore. It's writing that line remarkably well for a band that's been doing this for 20 years. And like I've been like I think Wolfgang Amadeus is their peak. I think Bankrupt and Tiama are good records, but I don't think this is anything that's like I don't think they've released anything like Wolfgang Amadeus since that until maybe this. Personally, that's my opinion.
The thing that impressed me the most was Identical. Identical, they released it for a film a couple years ago, but a shortened version. And now this is the whole 5-minute release, which they've been sitting on for over 2 years. And I love that they placed it at the end. And it is, to me, the everything I like about Phoenix wrapped up into one, into more of a modern sound for them, is Identical. And I love that's the ending. I like that they made it a little bit longer and different than the film style. It's just, oh, I love it. And I was worried going into this record that I wasn't going to like it, and I'm glad I'm proven wrong. And it's one of these records too that I need to give this another 2, 3 listens, 4 listens even, to really diverge a lot of these sounds. Because even before Identical, you have My Elixir, which is a really cool, like pretty understated track, but for them, the way it sounds, I love it going into Identical. And there's a couple other things like Artifact Season 2, um, tracks that I want to divulge more and to really just enjoy them as just singular tracks and then also into the record as well, because there's a lot of different sounds and different ideas that are presented in those, but I want to digest them more. So overall, as a record, it is fantastic from them. I think it is such a good step forward for Phoenix, and I'm glad that they didn't make another Bankrupt, another Tiamo, another Wolfgang Amadeus. No, they didn't. They made something just enough different, but staying within themselves to make it good, which is what I like to do.
Yeah, that's the Audioface way for sure.
Exactly.
Speaking of the Audioface way, the arbitrary scale, which we do every week on
Oh
Audioface,
yeah.
because our review is our review. We gave you how we felt about it in quite a lot of detail, so let's just give you an arbitrary ranking system. This week it's going to be the price you would or would not pay for a blue checkmark on Elon Musk's Twitter.com Bird app website. Bring back the fail whale, because considering how many people they fired, it's going to be many, many of them. I would pay for this album, which is a lot because I said the Joji album was really good. I think that this would be another one of those shit coins, but definitely not Dogecoin, and one of those that like is at least good for the environment. Like, like there's a good cause behind it. Like
Okay.
it's absolutely a piece of shit, but at least there's a good cause behind it. Like so you can feel a little bit good about like wasting your fractions of a penny on the dollar.
All right, I like it. This is a hostile takeover by some random billionaire over Twitter to get Elon out of it, and then reestablishes the free checks.